could that be? One reason, particularly in America, is the AMA wants a piece of the action, and there are a lot.
You have to explain. The AMA is the American Medical Association. So the doctors who now make, in fact, money from people being addicted and they subscribe.
Addiction, rehab.
There's a whole industry around drugs, of course.
It's $1 billion business, as is the methadone industry, $1 billion business.
That's in fact a weird idea. That so the doctors who are supposed to protect us and the government is not using this venue of Ibogaine or even any other potential research venues to stop addiction. Why is that? Is there a conspiracy?
I don't know if there's a conspiracy, but you also have to consider that back in the 60s, all the psychoactive drugs in America were shelved, and it's just until very recently, literally the last couple of years, that major pharmaceutical companies are beginning to take these psychoactives off the shelves, and they're beginning to take a good look at these and wondering whether these psychoactives are going to be our next generation's antidepressants and so on.
Because in the meantime we have had quite a number of interesting new drugs, not only the antidepressive but also like Viagra, you know, stimulants of all kinds. It feels like the old knowledge, because Ibogaine, as you said, is age-old. So is ayahuasca, LSD maybe not, but there are functions there, fungi that were used. Is this a knowledge that we should regain as a society?
Oh, I do believe so, very much so. But just back to the previous point for a moment. I went to Mexico when I first heard about Ibogaine, because I have a lot of connections there, and I wanted to interest the medical community there to write a proposal to submit to a medical college so that their FDA would be interested in setting up a clinic, or at least a pilot study. They were ready to do this, writing up of this proposal, until I let them know the efficacy, the fact that, well, at the time, we thought that Ibogaine was approximately 75% effective in alleviating all drug addiction. Since then, we've certainly augmented from our own experience the situation. But when we told them this, the doctors pulled back and they said, "We're sorry, but we can't help you because we don't want to put a threat to our families and our friends and our work here, because the drug lords use our roads to drive up through Mexico to the United States. And if you had a product that was like Laetrile in terms of its ability to put cancer into remission, that was maybe 10 to 30%.
A miracle drug you're talking about?
No, in other words, if you had a
miracle drug against drug addiction.
That was too threatening to them. If it was something that was less threatening, that didn't have such a high success rate, they would have been okay with it. So I said to them, "You mean to say that you don't want to work with this because it works so well?" And they said, "Please, you know, you're embarrassing us. Go to a more autonomous country that's not so close to the powers that be. Go somewhere in Nicaragua or somewhere that's not so close to the FDA in America and the drug lords coming up our roads." And I said, okay, and started moving on, looking for other countries.
Because that's what you do. You cannot work in the States or in some Western countries. You have to go what you call offshore. You have to go to countries where there is less legal hassle. Right. And so you bring patients or clients or whatever you call them to those countries.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Is that an expensive trip?
Well, we try to keep the prices down. And as a result of a lot of wonderful people who are sympathizing to the cause, who have yachts and have beautiful homes in Costa Rica and Jamaica and elsewhere, we can keep the price down. We basically now, as a result of a much greater availability at a much cheaper price, we could have a very wide sliding scale. So now we don't have to refuse anyone, but it'll still cost them a certain amount, round trip and so on. But
Well, that's there was a big psychedelic conference in Amsterdam a while ago, and one of the criticism was that this. Lots of people from Germany and from Europe came. This is like a marketing trick to get people to experience. Ibogaine was not so